Welcome back to Sports by GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jeremy Lapidus. Today is Tuesday, October 22nd. If you are just tuning in, we just finished going over the NFL Power Rankings 32-1. You can go and check that out if you are interested. In this segment, we turn our attention to college football. Week 9 is upon us. It has been a wild weekend, a wild couple of weeks in college football. Changes all around the top 25. We go over that in just 1 second. But before we do, remember, if you would like to be an even bigger part of the show than you already are, all you need to do is go to gsmcpodcast.net. Or, if you are on YouTube, you can use that super chat feature. If you do either of those two things, a message should pop up on the bottom of the screen for you, me, and everybody else around the world to see. If you do have a burning question about sports, anything at all that you would like to ask, go ahead and throw that in the comments. Throw it in the chat. I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. I appreciate everybody so much for sticking around, talking some sports with me here on a beautiful Tuesday, October 22nd. But like I was saying, we are going to finish off our show here with the college football top 25. But as always, we started off with the group of 5 top 5. Obviously, with the new playoff format, the top 5 group of 5 teams do have a difference. With the way that these games have been played, we have a chance to have not just one, but maybe even 2 group of 5 teams in there. So this is even more important than it was at the beginning of the season. At number 5, Washington State. They continue to just win football games. Their sole loss, of course, coming against Boise State earlier on in the season. That is a quality loss right there, a top 20 loss, a very, very good football team in Washington State and in the Pac-12. You have the service academies at 4-3, with Navy and Army continuing to both be undefeated. The Black Knights and the midshipmen continue to win football games in pretty dominant fashions. I'm a big fan of both of these service academies. They both face a big test coming up. Navy takes on Notre Dame this week. That should be a massive one. UNLV at number 2. They also have a big game this week, but with Haj Malik Williams, they continue to win football. Again, they just continue to win. They continue to look really good. Boise State on a bye takes on UNLV. Boise State with Ashton Denty. UNLV taking on Boise State, a must-watch group of 5 matchup coming up this week. But getting into the top 25, before we do that, we have some honorable mentions. Some teams that just missed out. Ranks 30-26. South Carolina, Washington State, Colorado, Illinois, and Navy just missed the top 25 for me personally this week. If they continue to perform the way they do and some other teams fall, I could easily see a lot of them getting into the top 25. But without further ado, sitting at number 25 is Vanderbilt. The Commodores have played a really solid season. They've taken Missouri to overtime. They obviously beat Alabama. They just went in and beat Ball State, beat Virginia Tech in overtime. This is a very good Vanderbilt team. They deserve to be ranked. They get a massive, massive matchup with Texas this week. Should be a lot of fun. Commodores at 25. At 24, it's Army. They are ranked in my rankings for the first time. They've been ranked in the AP Top 25 for 2 straight weeks. Army has been dominant with the way that they have been able to run and pass on everybody. They have not showed any signs of slowing down, and Army is a juggernaut right now. They are in at 24. At 23, it's UNLV. We talked about them in our Group of 5 top 5. They are our second Group of 5 team in the top 25 already. This has been a chaotic year, and it's been awesome for the Group of 5. UNLV continues to show up on national stages. They play on Thursdays and Fridays, and they continue to win these games, or at least put up a fight. They look really, really good. I'm a big fan of these Rebels. At 22, it's Pitt, another undefeated team. Pitt coming off of a bye. We'll see if they can continue it. They're probably the weakest team that I think is in the top 25 right now, but they're undefeated. They've beaten some solid teams in West Virginia and Cal, and they had a massive comeback against Cincinnati, sending Cincinnati their lone loss after Cincinnati just played a really good game against a good team earlier this week. At 21, it's Syracuse, a team I've been very high on all season long. The Orange have completely turned this program around. Their sole loss coming on a walk-off against Stanford. They played really good football for every single week outside of that. I think they let their guard down for that Stanford game, but they get a big test this week. Before coming back home and taking on Virginia Tech. That should be another fun one. The Syracuse Orange, I think, are getting severely underrated in the national poll. They're in my number 21 team. At 20, it's SMU. The Mustangs continue to play good football. They beat Louisville earlier, just a couple weeks ago. They are on a path for a potential ACC title in their first year in the ACC. That would be really cool storybook stuff. I think this SMU team has the juice to do it. At 19, it's Missouri. They're the other team I thought about taking off, but they get a big gutsy win against Auburn. They're very much on fraud watch. They haven't really blown any big team out. They obviously took a massive loss. They got absolutely destroyed by Texas A&M a couple of weeks ago, but they have a big game this week. They can turn all the haters into fans again if they're able to win this week. At number 18, you have the Ole Miss Rebels coming off of a bye after losing an overtime game to LSU. I'm not ready to call it quits on them, but they are again on fraud watch. They've been out physicaled in a lot of these games. In both of the games that they've lost, they've been out physicaled. They need to prove that they can be the more physical team. I haven't seen that yet out of them. They need to prove that as SEC plays continue. As SEC play continues, the Ole Miss Rebels are at 18. At 17, it's Alabama. Alabama, a team that is also on fraud watch. They've lost 2 out of their last 3 games, losing to Vanderbilt and Tennessee. Something about the water in Tennessee just is not meshing with them. They have a chance to redeem themselves this week when they play against Missouri. That should be a fun game. Both of those teams on fraud watch. It won't take them off of it, but I think both of those teams are just about eliminated. This could be the final nail in the coffin for one of these two teams as far as the college football playoff goes. At 16, it's K-State. Kansas State continues to defy me. I can't get this team. Every time I think they're going to do great, they get blown out. Every time I think they're going to lose, they blow the other team out. They've been playing really good football the last couple of weeks. They continue to get better. Avery Johnson, a quarterback that I didn't love early in the season, is having me turn the corner on him. This is a great K-State team, and they are in the mix for that Big 12 title. At 15, it's Boise State, our third Group of 5 team to crack the top 25. A massive, a huge accomplishment for this Group of 5 program. Boise State gets maybe their biggest test remaining in this season against UNLV. They obviously took Oregon deep. This is a really good Boise State team. Don't sleep on them. They're at number 15. At 14, it's the Texas A&M Aggies. The Aggies continue to just really prove me wrong. Again, that quarterback change, it was a huge need. They needed to make that change, and has made that offense look 10 times better. They suffered that loss to Notre Dame early in the season. Outside of that, they have been awesome. They continue to climb the ranks, and right now, they are at the top of the SEC. Maybe they win the SEC this year. That would be a crazy thing to think, though. At 13, it's BYU. They escape a heart-wrenching game, a absolutely heart attack of a game, near walk-off for them. BYU continues to be undefeated. This is a magical season for them. They're a very good football team, but their turnover luck started to wane, and we saw the issues start to show. BYU is not a perfect team. They're a very good team. You can beat them, though, if you just play smart football. They escape with a win. They are up to 13. At 12, it's Indiana. How about the Hoosiers? Curt Cignetti has these Hoosiers 7-0 for just the second time in program history. College game day is coming to Bloomington, Indiana. The Hoosiers get a massive game in a couple of weeks against Ohio State. They have a real chance of going 11-1 and winning and making the college football playoff if they continue playing like this. At 11, it's Tennessee. A big win over Alabama, but neither of those teams played great. I wasn't a big fan of either of those teams when we watched them play. Tennessee gets the win. It was a massive win for them. They're only up one spot in my ranking, though. They need to show me a lot more. At 10, it's LSU, another team that's on top of the SEC. They are probably SEC favorites right now, which is crazy to think in a conference with Texas and Georgia and, all these other teams at the top. But LSU continues to just be the most consistent football team, which is not what you expected of LSU. They have had some road bumps, but still LSU, the top 10 team, the number one in the SEC right now. Notre Dame's at 9. Outside of that struggle against NIU, which, sucks and it really hurts their ranking and what everything else looks like, but they've gotten a lot of quality wins. They can prove that they deserve to be up here, and they've changed with the win against Navy this week. That's going to be a big game. We will see what happens when they take them on this Saturday. At 8, it's Iowa State, another one that escapes at the last second. They were in some real danger there, but they continue to be up there at the top with their Big 12 teams. Iowa State is a Big 12 favorite. I think they're just about a lock to make the playoffs as long as nothing goes horribly wrong. That offense needs to start playing better, but that defense is really good. At 7, it's Penn State, a team that I am lower on than a lot of other people. They are, of course, undefeated, which goes a long way, but still, I haven't been impressed by a lot of their victories. The USC victory, they nearly lost. They almost lost to Bowling Green. West Virginia in week 1 was pretty solid, but I wasn't super impressed by them then either. I need to see a lot more out of this team before I move them into the top 3 like everyone else seems to have. At number 6, it is Clemson. The Tigers, outside of week 1 loss to Georgia, have been lights out dominant. The Tigers are just so good. They really are. I think they have a real chance to win the national championship this year with the way they've been playing outside of week 1. This is a really good Clemson team. They're at 6. At 5, it's Texas. They take a brutal loss at home to Georgia, a game that they needed to win to prove that they were the dominant force in college football. They're unable to do that, and chaos reigns supreme. I still like this Texas team a lot. They're still a top 5 team in the nation, but they do have some holes, and I think that Georgia game is going to help them fix it. 4 goes to Miami. That offense is crazy. Fireworks all over the place against Louisville. It's going to be dangerous. They need to be able to play better defense. They've been unable to do that all season long, but still, Cam Ward looking like a true Heisman contender. This Hurricanes team is a lot of fun to watch. Miami is here at 4. At 3, it is Ohio State. They're on a bye. Still, though, very good. They get a couple more games that they can prove themselves. Obviously, with the loss against Oregon last week, they get Indiana coming up soon. Obviously, they have the Michigan game coming up. That one doesn't mean as much this season as it has in years past, but still a fun team to watch. This is a Buckeyes team that I think could go a long way this season. At number 2, it's the Georgia Bulldogs, maybe the biggest win of the season, taking down number 1 Texas, but still, I don't think they did enough to take that number 1 spot back after that loss to Alabama continues to age poorly. Because of that, the number 1 team is the Oregon Ducks. The Ducks have just played the best football. They started off shaky, but they have played the best football down the stretch here. They have looked like the most complete and competent team, and they figured out their weaknesses early on in the season when they had some weaker opponents. And now that they're getting to the meat of their schedule, they're starting to look a little bit unstoppable. This is a really good Oregon Ducks team, and they are my number 1 team in the nation. But let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts on who you have as the number 1 team. Anyone that you thought I was way off on, love to hear your thoughts. But thank you, everybody, so much for tuning in to today's episode of Sports by GSMC Podcast Network. I've been your host, Jeremy Lapidus. Tomorrow, we'll be back here, same time, same place, talking about everything that's going on in the world of sports. The opening day in the NBA. Of course, our rookie report and much more going on in the world of sports. I will see you then. You will have a good one. Bye-bye.